Welcome back. And joining me now is Republican Senator Markwayne Mullin of Oklahoma. Senator Mullin, welcome back to Meet the Press.
This is Carlos.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. You are, of course, a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee. Do you think it was appropriate for President Trump's national security team to be discussing an imminent military strike on Signal, which is a commercial app?
Well, what this showed was an open conversation that was happening, and I think it was a very thoughtful conversation, but there was no war plans that the Atlantic put out. What they did is they had a very successful attack against the Houthis. It's a terrorist organization that had been harassing our Navy since 2023. They had attacked our Navy 174 times, and the Biden administration did nothing but sit on their hands. What the Trump administration did was take the fight directly to the Houthis. So what the conversation should be is, why didn't the Biden administration do something in the last 2 years instead of us being focused on this Signal chat, which there was no classified information given out. The conversation was a thoughtful conversation, and the attack was extremely successful.
You take me to my next question. You say there was nothing classified. I'm going to show some of what Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth did text out. Here's a little sample. 12:15 Eastern Time. F-18s launch first strike package. 14:15. Strike drones on target. This is when the first bombs will definitely drop, pending earlier trigger-based targets. 15:36, F-18 second strike starts. Also, first sea-based Tomahawks launched. Those are specific times and weapons. And later, there's a discussion about target details. Senator, if that's not classified information, what is?
Tell me where the location was at. What part of the region was it at? What part of the world was this at? We have a lot of conflicts, a lot of issues going on around the world, from Africa to anywhere in the Middle East to even in Asia or possibly through Europe. This could have been going on any place in the world. There was no specific information except that a target was going to be hit. We have terrorist organizations coming after the United States everywhere because the Biden administration has done nothing for 4 years. Instead of having peace through strength like President Trump is leading, they try to do it appeasement, and what happened is these rogue regimes and terrorist organizations have taken advantage of it. What happened here is President Trump took the fight to our enemies, which should have happened a long time before. What is wrong with the conversation that is going place? In fact, why are we focused so much on this? Why didn't we focus on the 13 service members that was killed in Afghanistan? There was no outcry or anybody resigning from there. What about the idea that when Secretary Austin went MIA for a surgery and went completely offline? No one was talking about him resigning, but the left has completely lost their mind over a good conversation, and that was an absolute successful mission. And they can't let it go because President Trump is leading the world again.
Senator, what's your message to service members and their family who may feel like officials in this chain were careless with information that could have put their loved ones' lives at risk?
I think the numbers speak for themselves. We've had record numbers of new recruits coming in the service since President Trump has taken office. The morale is through the roof because people are finally saying President Trump has taken the fight to our enemies rather than sitting back and apologizing and focus more on DEI than actual lethality, which is what our service members want to do. They want to sign up for what they did, protect American rights, and go after those enemies that want to come and harm Americans.
Let me ask you, I had a conversation with President Trump just this morning, Senator, and I want to ask you about some of what we discussed. He told me he is, quote, angry and pissed off at Russian President Putin for disparaging Ukrainian President Zelensky, saying that's moving in the wrong direction. President Trump saying he feels peace talks are moving in the wrong direction. He's threatening the possibility of secondary tariffs on Russian oil if he feels as though things aren't getting back on track. Would you support tariffs of 25 to 50% on Russian oil?
Absolutely. President Trump has been very clear from day one, and even when he was running for campaign or running for office, he was saying he wants to stop the killing. Full stop. And what has happened is the left has been saying that President Trump is compromised, the administration is compromised by Putin, their friendship is too close. But what President Trump was trying to do was negotiate an end to the deal of individuals dying in Ukraine because of this awful war that would have never taken place if President Trump was in office. Yeah. What has happened here is that Putin, he doesn't feel, is negotiating on actual terms. He keeps delaying. And what President Trump has said right now is if he continues to play games, he's going to get tough on Russia, just like he did in 2017 in Syria when Russia was doing the bidding for Assad, and he took back the airspace from Russia because they wanted to deliver weapons that the president has warned them not to do. That same message in 2017 is being delivered now by President Trump saying, if you don't get on board with ending the killing in Ukraine, then we will go after you through sanctions. And anybody that does business with you, they will also be sanctioned and have a tariff put on their country as well. President Trump makes very clear where his positions are, and he's tough on all situations, but he's wanting to go through diplomacy first before anything else takes place. So him having a friendship or trying to have a relationship with Russia before this goes to this place was the right move. Now he's saying he's done. So either Putin comes to the table, negotiates a peace deal, or he's going to move on and take an alternative plan.
Oh, and you're right to note that this seems like a new moment. I mean, he's saying he's angry and pissed off. We have, frankly, not heard President Trump use that type of language against President Putin. We saw the Oval Office blow up with President Zelensky. Of course, what are the implications of the fact that he's taking this tone with President Putin?
What everybody needs to know, and I think they already know this about President Trump, is he doesn't bluff. His words have meaning. And when he's done, he is done and he's moving on to plan B. The president is always looking down the road. He always has alternative plans. He wants to do plan A, plan B, plan C, but if that doesn't work, he'll go to plan D. And where we're at right now is diplomacy with Russia hasn't been working because Putin hasn't been negotiating on good terms. The president now, with you and the American people, he's putting Putin on warning, saying, hey, listen, you better pay attention here. If you don't come to the table, negotiate an end to the killing, like I said I wanted to do, then we're going to have alternative plans here, and this is the first alternative. And by the way, we have 3 more plans behind this if this doesn't work. We
also talked about tariffs. The president saying these auto tariffs that he has just announced are permanent. And of course, he's continued his vows to make Canada the 51st state after imposing these new auto tariffs. I want to play for you a little bit of what Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney had to say in response to these tariffs.
The old relationship we had with the United States, based on deepening integration of our economies and tight security and military cooperations, is over.
Senator, has the United States lost Canada as an ally?
No, we haven't lost Canada as an ally. They need us more than we need them. The fact is, we have been subsidizing their economy by the tunes of billions of dollars every single year, and they know that. What President Trump is saying is enough is enough, right? If you want to have a relationship with the United States, it's going to be an even playing field, a two-way street. We want reciprocal tariffs. We want to be treated the same. We want to have access to your economy like you have access to us. And if you want to have fair and balanced trade, then that's fine. But our economy is not subsidizing your economy anymore. What Canada knows is that the United States have given them a sweetheart deal for them to have access to us, access to our economy. At the same time, we protect them. Now, they do fight with us. They are an ally of us in every war that we've had. We appreciate that. But at the same time, we need to be treated equally. And if they don't want to come to the negotiating deal and realize that we are in this fight together, our economies, our border, national security means national security for all America, not just the United States. And if they want to have that type of negotiation and that type of deal with us, we're willing to do that. But they're not wanting to. They're wanting to keep the same old sweetheart deal they've had in place. And President Trump is willing to say, enough's enough. It's about time. Because what President Trump is doing is he's protecting America's future, America's economy going down the road. Our workers have suffered. Our farmers have suffered. Our manufacturers have suffered because we've had weak leadership in the White House, and President Trump isn't putting up with it anymore. So thank goodness we have a tough leader finally that's standing up against these people.
All right. Senator Markwayne Mullin, thank you so much for joining us on a very busy Sunday. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.